Hey there, Plow and Pantry peeps. Today we have another installment of Souptember. If you are not familiar with Souptember, it's just a YouTube thing where some channels bring you soup recipes during the month of September. Some people do collaborations, some people participate individually, which is what I'm doing this year. If you want to see more Souptember videos, remember to like this video and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when I post another soup video. You can also search the hashtag Souptember right in your YouTube search bar and find a lot of videos from all over YouTube. I decided today for Souptember I would actually make a chili. I think it still fits the Souptember guidelines. And just FYI, I will also be participating in Crocktober during the month of October, where we make crock pot meals, as well as doing my annual October freezer challenge to make space in my deep freezer, so feel free to join me for that as well. Today's recipe is a little bit of a different take on chili. It's what my family calls cowboy chili, and it's actually a barbecue chili. It's also a good pantry meal because it uses a lot of ingredients from the pantry itself. I started with a pound of bacon in an oven-proof pot. This is going to go in the oven, so you want to start out with something. If you want to make it a one-dish meal, start out with something that is oven safe. You could use a Dutch oven if you have one big enough. My Dutch oven is tiny. This recipe starts with cooking and crumbling bacon, and I always tend to just cut it up straight into the pan with kitchen shears just to save myself a step in a dish. I just find it easier to work with, and I like to use bacon grease in this dish to cook the onions and ground beef in, so it saves me dishes anyways. So I just let the bacon get crisp and occasionally stir it so it doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan while I get out my other ingredients. I got an onion from my orchard rack in the basement. I love when I can use the food that I grew. I also got out a pound of ground beef and some cans of beans. Today I'm using a can of pork and beans, a can of white beans, and a can of kidney beans. Once the bacon is almost crispy, I just start chopping and dropping the onion into the pan, and then a heaping tablespoon of garlic. You can use fresh garlic, but I forgot to grab some of mine when I went downstairs, and I didn't want to go down again. I get the pound of ground beef crumbled in there as well, and yes, I do wash my hands after almost every ingredient I touch. I wash my hands about 30 times while making anything. I have issues with feeling things on my fingers. And if I left every time I washed my hands in a video, it would extend videos by way too much. By the way, I will type out this recipe below or leave a printable link if I have time to get it on my blog, but most likely I'll just be typing it out. As the beef gets brown, I get my beans drained and rinsed, except for the pork and beans. Don't rinse those, that would be weird. And I get out my other seasoning. This really comes together fast, and then it goes in the oven for a while. So even though it's not a fast recipe per se, it's mostly passive time. So when I get the other ingredients in, I add chili powder, salt and pepper, then the pork and beans, white beans, and the kidney beans I rinse together. You can use cannellini beans, navy beans, great northern beans, whatever white bean you like. Then I add in barbecue sauce, ketchup, brown sugar, yellow mustard, Worcestershire, apple cider vinegar, and a little liquid smoke. Today I was using homemade barbecue sauce, but store-bought ketchup. Again, it was what I already had upstairs. I didn't feel like going back downstairs. And then I mix up the whole thing really well and stick it in the oven at 350 for 45 minutes. And while it was baking, I got some cornbread muffin batter ready. So right when this came out, those went in. So we had it with cornbread muffins and honey butter. This one is a hit with my family, and there's usually only one serving left, so if you have a larger family or a family that eats a lot, I would double the recipe. If my son was home, I would have doubled it, but with just the 4 of us, I left it as is. Anyway, that is this episode of Souptember with one of our favorite chilies. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me today, and I hope you'll join me again for future videos. Let me know if you try this and if you liked it.